It is the year 2013 in a place called Thika Town. And that day, I had been sent for banking in Standard Chartered Bank. And because I was waiting for a confirmation call from the directors to confirm whether I should withdraw the funds from the account, that is a USD dollar account. As I was waiting for that confirmation, I decided, because it is lunchtime, let me go around in the town as I wait for the directors to confirm. Now, while I was at the stage, at the main stage of Thika Town, I decided to, I had some worship coming from a building somewhere just within the town, some church service at lunch hour. And because I really loved going to church, and I decided to go to begin climbing the stairs leading to that section where the church was. Now, from outside, I could see the church was housed on the second floor of that building, because from outside the building, I could see the worshippers, the congregation in the church. I could see them. Now, I began climbing the stairs. Now, as I was going up the stairs, I passed one gate man who was seated there, and even I never greeted him. I just went up. Now, apparently, I found myself at the third floor of that building. I had already passed the floor where the church was. I looked for the church from one floor to the next, from one corridor to the next, and I could not find the church. The only thing I was hearing was the worship, the music from the keyboard, and even those who were worshiping, the singers of the church. But I could not find the church. I decided now to go down. I went up to the place where that gate person was seated. I asked him, "Sir, please help me know where the church is." The gate man just answered me in one word: "You just passed me here. You never recognized me. Maybe at one point you thought I am good for nothing. Why are you coming to ask me at this moment?" But he was good enough. He decided to tell me where the church is. And I went straight and entered the church. So what am I saying in this episode, viewers? There is no person that was created by God who has no meaning, who is not important. Every person, that employee that you demean, that neighbor that you don't respect, that workmate, that neighbor in your business, that person that is next to you is equally important, just as you are. So in this episode, viewers, I want to take a recap from our last session, where we were talking about what are the factors that brings the business down. What causes the business to collapse? What makes the business to fail? That is what we were discussing in our last episode. And now, one of the reasons that brings the businesses down was compliance. Now today I want to talk about compliance. Now, what we are going to discuss in this episode is about complying with statutory deductions. And the statutory deduction that we are going to discuss today is taxes. I know most of you viewers, when you hear about taxes, when you hear about agencies that collect taxes in your jurisdiction, in your country, you will feel frightened, you will feel water in your stomach. So that is what we are going to discuss today. And I am going to begin this show with the words of Chris Rock. Chris Rock, he said, "You don't pay taxes, but they take taxes." Who amongst you viewers can say that he comfortably pays taxes? Who? Now, for example, if you are employed, for example, in Kenya, where I'm taking this show from, do you take your taxes? Do you collect taxes and take it to KRA? No, you don't. Kenya Revenue Authority has contracted by default your employer to be an agent. So every month, when it reaches the end of the month, your accountant, your employer will deduct that tax from your payslip, from your paycheck, and remit it to KRA. And of course, there are timelines, there are deadlines that your employer must remit those taxes to KRA, lest he incurs some penalties, he incurs some expenses because of late payment. Now, today in this episode, viewers, I want to help you. I want us to discuss how you can reduce taxes. I don't know, many people have heard about tax planning, tax evasion. So today, now, tax evasion is a crime for every government in the world. Tax evasion is something every government in the world is fighting. And in any case you are found evading tax, it is a criminal offense. You will be arrested, and because the legislations in every country, they always give powers, authority to the agencies that collect taxes. If any government finds you evading tax, you will be imprisoned. That is the first thing. And the second thing, your assets will be attached to the tax liabilities that you need to pay. Now, in tax evasion, every person will want to do his accounting, his financial reports in a way that it reduces the tax. That is what the people will do. That is what organizations will do to reduce the tax that they are supposed to pay to the taxman. Now, let's come to tax planning. Tax planning is whereby the tax liability that you are supposed to pay has been reduced so that you pay a lower tax. But the difference between these two, the difference between tax planning and tax evasion is tax planning, you are doing it in a legal way, in a legal framework. You are using all the avenues that the law permits you to reduce your tax. So therefore, in this case, if you are supposed to pay a 10 million tax and you end up paying an 8 million tax, these 2 million that you are reducing, you are doing it in a legal framework, in what the law permits. But in this other way, tax evasion, if you are supposed to pay a 10 million tax, and you end up paying an 8 million tax, you are doing it in an illegal way. For example, if it's a company, you begin bringing expenses that are not related to the business into your reports, personal expenses, not business expenses. That is illegal. And if the taxman comes and do what we call investigation, assessment, and they find that is what you have done, you are liable. It is a criminal offense. Now, today in this episode, viewers, and I want to major into tax planning because that is the right way. That is the legal way of reducing your taxes. Now, today I want to deal with individual taxation, not corporate taxation. In this episode, I want to deal with individual taxation. Now, if you are employed by your employer, by your organization, you are employed by a firm, by a company, by any business, and you have a paycheck at the end of the month, you have a pay slip at the end of the month. So how can you reduce your tax liability? How can you reduce your tax liability? That is what I want us to discuss today. Now, the first thing, of course, is pension. If your employer has provided a provision for pension, and in any case, if there is no provision for pension, in this land, in this nation, Kenya, the jurisdiction of Kenya, all of us must pay, subscribe to the National Social Security Fund. We are members there because it is a statutory institution. It is a statutory body. Now, one way where you can reduce your tax liability One way how you can reduce the tax burden that you pay to the Kenya Revenue Authority is by subscribing to the pension. Now, in this nation, the government allows you to pay towards your pension, your salary, 30% of your salary to be remitted to your pension provider. Now, this 30% is not taxable. It is deducted before you reach at the amount to tax. Now, but it is not just left like that, because there are people who are paid millions and millions and millions of money at the end of the month. So if we say 30%, it will amount to hundreds and hundreds of thousands. That is 30% of your monthly pay. So the government, what they have done, they have given you to a maximum of 20,000 every month. So if you are contributing towards pension scheme, you have been allowed to do a maximum of 20,000, which is deductible before before taxation is done. So before your pay as you earn is computed, the 20,000 will be eliminated, or 30% of your monthly pay has been removed, as long as it doesn't exceed 20,000. It is eliminated before your your salary is subjected to taxation. So therefore, in this episode, I want to suggest to you, fellow viewers and fellow colleagues, that pension, contribution towards pension, is an avenue whereby you can reduce your taxes, and that one is legal. It is one way of tax planning. Number two, fellow colleagues, the second avenue that you can use to reduce your taxes that you pay, your tax liability that you pay to the Kenya Revenue Authority in this nation, in this year 2021, is subscribing towards insurance premiums. Insurance premiums. Now, insurance premiums can be either you are paying for your son's education, you have subscribed to health insurance, or you have subscribed for life insurance. As long as this insurance, the maturity period of this insurance is over 10 years, the government allows you to deduct 15% of your tax, as long as it does not exceed 5,000 per month. It doesn't exceed 5,000 per month. The government has allowed you up to 60,000 for every financial year, from January to December. As long as you don't exceed 60,000, the government has allowed you to make that deduction from your taxes. So therefore, fellow colleagues, if you want to reduce your taxes legally, tax planning avenue is by subscribing to a medical, to an insurance premium, because there will be a 15% deduction that reduces your pay as you earn. Another avenue that you can use is mortgage, house ownership. If you are a member of any mortgage insurance, you want to get a house through mortgage. Mortgage is another avenue where you can reduce your taxes. Now, all those interests that you pay towards mortgage, towards any mortgage that you have subscribed to, provided it doesn't exceed 25,000 per any given month, the government allows you to deduct that interest that you pay towards that mortgage, so that you can reduce your taxes. So therefore, if you have any mortgage, and you are paying interest, the government allows you to make that deduction before paying taxes. So therefore, fellow colleagues, I want to inform you today in this session that you can reduce your taxes that you pay to the government, your tax liability that you pay to the government, by subscribing to mortgages, because the interest that you pay towards the mortgage, towards your home ownership through mortgage, is tax deductible. It is tax allowable. So therefore, my fellow colleagues, if you are employed and you want to reduce your tax liability, please subscribe towards a mortgage, subscribe, begin paying, register. But not every mortgage, all those that are registered, if it is a registered scheme, so please subscribe towards mortgage. Now, another avenue, fellow colleagues, if you want to reduce your taxes, is through what we call contribution towards affordable housing scheme. So if you are contributing towards an affordable housing scheme, the government allows you to deduct 15% to the maximum of 9,000 every month. So if you are contributing towards the affordable housing scheme, the government allows you to do that deduction. So therefore, fellow colleagues, another avenue where you can reduce your taxes is through contribution towards the affordable housing scheme. 9,000 is not a little amount of money every month. It's a lot. So, fellow colleagues, if you want to reduce your taxes, please register to contribute towards an affordable housing scheme. Now, another avenue that you can reduce your taxes is non-cash benefit. Non-cash benefit. If you have subscribed towards a non-cash benefit from your employer, maybe your employer gives you credit that you use every month, airtime to speak. If your employer gives you maybe transport, he gives you transport, but not in terms of money. He has given you maybe a motor vehicle. He has given you maybe a motor vehicle that you are using. That is also an non-cash benefit that you are getting every month. So therefore, if you are getting that non-cash benefit from your employer, you also get a 4,000 Kenya shilling towards that reduction in your taxation. So therefore, fellow colleagues, you can also negotiate with your employer, who will give you a max to give you an non-cash benefit, which will also act as a tax deduction, a tax reduction avenue. And it is also allowed in law, as long as you don't exceed 3